Boyfriend promised my dad a proposal by this month. Now our anniversary is here, but his silence speaks louder. I'm 31, turning 32 this year, and my boyfriend is about to turn 29. Over the past several years, our relationship has weathered some major life shifts. It hasn't always been classic ups and downs, but each change has shaped where we're at now. Last year, for our 5th anniversary, he did remember the day. He came home with flowers and a card, but it was late in the evening, and honestly, it didn't feel deeply personal or especially meaningful. When I asked about it, why he hadn't put more thought or planning into the occasion, he told me something that has stuck with me ever since. He said, almost sheepishly, that he felt embarrassed to be celebrating being a 5-year girlfriend. Those were his words, not mine. He admitted that he only wanted to celebrate our relationship in a big way if it included a proposal. That he didn't see the point in going all out for an anniversary if it wasn't culminating in a proposal. Not long after this conversation, I learned he'd been laid off around that time. The weight of that loss started settling between us soon after. Within a few weeks, the lease on our apartment ended and we made the tough decision to move back in with our parents, separately, to save money and reset our lives. We'd been living in that apartment together for 3 years, and here we were, back to square one. A year has passed since then. We're both still living at home. We've spent the year talking a lot, and I mean a lot, about our future together. Marriage, kids, buying a house. All of it's on the table for us. Which brings me to what's been bothering me so much lately. A few months back in July, my dad ran into my boyfriend as he was coming over to visit me. My dad, who usually keeps out of these things, asked him, gently and with no pressure, "You've been around a long time. When are you planning to propose to my daughter?" And my boyfriend, confidently and without hesitation, promised, before the end of next month. So, before the end of August. Now here we are, it's the end of August. Our anniversary is tomorrow, Friday. August ends on Sunday. And I haven't seen a single hint that he's actually planning to propose. There have been no clues, no dinner reservations, no hints about dressing nice, no don't make plans that day, just business as usual. I've even gone out of my way not to drop any hints myself, because if he's going to propose, I want it to feel like something he truly wants to do. I need to know he's doing it for us, not because I nudged him. Still, this morning I couldn't help myself from testing the waters. I sent him a link to an art walk event happening this weekend in Destin, a couple hours away. I played it off like it was something I wanted to check out, never mentioning proposals or expectations. Instantly, he responded with enthusiasm. He even said he could book us an Airbnb from Saturday to Monday, an impromptu weekend getaway. You'd think that would excite me, but instead it's left me uneasy, because if he already had plans, wouldn't he have to turn this down? Wouldn't he already be set for this big moment? This isn't the first time I've felt this way. Back on Valentine's Day, he told me he had something incredible planned. Turns out, he surprised me with tickets to Universal Studios and Disney World. A grand gesture, no doubt. But not what I really needed. What I wanted, what I still want, is progress. A proposal, not more trips or distractions that only push the real question down the road. What's also stuck with me is something he said recently: his savings are looking really good. So, if money isn't the reason, and our relationship is solid, why are we stalled here? Why does it still feel like we're waiting? I've had to put my own boundary in place, one that has nothing to do with ultimatums or pressure. I simply know I won't accept a proposal that comes after September 1st. By then, the moment will have lost all its magic. It would feel late, almost obligatory, as if I had to wait and wait for him to catch up. I want to build a life, a home, a family, a future. I can't keep stringing my heart along with almosts and maybe soons just for the sake of peace. Update 1. I'm getting ready for dinner as I type this, but honestly, a part of me just knows I'm not going to get proposed to tonight. And that's a hard pill to swallow. I remember clearly how he told me, word for word, that I wouldn't still be his girlfriend by our next anniversary. He said he would 1000% be proposing by then. He even went as far as telling my dad the exact same thing. So this wasn't some daydream I pieced together from stray hints. It was a promise he made, boldly, directly, in a way that etched the timeline into my heart. And now, here I am. This morning started sweet enough. He sent a good morning text, something extra thoughtful. He'd booked a massage for me at 5 p.m. and made dinner reservations at our favorite restaurant for 8:30 p.m. But then I noticed the restaurant closes at 9 p.m. That had me raising an eyebrow instantly. I gently questioned if maybe he meant 7:30 instead, but he just casually replied, "Nah, but I can move it up earlier if you want." The nonchalance in his voice, the fact that he only called the restaurant earlier today, it all started to feel a little off. It felt too casual, not quite the special night I had envisioned in my head for months. So now I'm sitting here, wrestling with this question: would I really be unreasonable if I left him over this, if he doesn't propose tonight? There are still a couple days left in August, technically, but if someone tells you they're going to do something by a certain date, and you build your hopes, your dreams, your heart around that timeline, how can you not feel shattered when it doesn't happen? Would I be wrong for walking away? I'm trying not to spiral, trying to keep my hopes up a little while longer before dinner, but deep down, I'm already bracing for disappointment, and quietly wondering what my next move will be if my heart gets let down. Update 2. Our anniversary was yesterday, a day I'd secretly hoped would change my life. He'd gone all out, planned a dinner at one of our favorite restaurants, and earlier in the day, he told me I should relax because he'd booked a massage for me. We had an 8:30 reservation, so everything should have felt magical, right? But when he got to my house, something was just off. He walked in carrying a big bouquet of flowers and the David Yurman bracelet I'd been eyeing for months, the one I'd hinted at so many times. But the way he handed it to me made my stomach sink. He barely looked me in the eye, just passed the bag to me in a hurry and disappeared to the bathroom to change. I thanked him, but there was a heaviness in that moment, a quiet certainty deep in my gut. I wasn't getting a proposal that night. He kept telling me how beautiful I looked, admiring the color I chose to wear. I had poured my heart into looking good for our night, and I could see in the mirror that I'd nailed it. But when I looked in his eyes, there was only sadness, maybe even disappointment. I could feel his distance, and I started to mirror it, shrinking into my chair, turning quiet. At the restaurant, he tried to fill the silence with small talk, but I had nothing meaningful to give. We were both just going through the motions, sitting together but feeling so impossibly far apart. Eventually, I couldn't take it anymore. I asked him why he was being so quiet, and I brought up the bracelet. He instantly got defensive, saying he was just rushing to change, that there wasn't meaning in how he gave it to me. But I couldn't shake the idea that it didn't feel special. So I finally asked him point blank, "Are you proposing tonight?" The look he gave me, pure disappointment. "No," he said. That's when everything inside me just broke. I asked the waiter to cancel our food and I walked out. In the car, I turned to him and told him I was done. I couldn't keep doing this, waiting. I asked outright when he planned to propose. He stumbled over his words, maybe in the next 2 to 3 weeks. I gave him an ultimatum, he had until today. That was it for me. The rest of the ride home was suffocatingly quiet. When we pulled up to my house, I barely said a word. Just got out and went inside. A few minutes later, I noticed he turned off his location, which stung more than I expected. I texted him soon after, telling him to come get the dog and his things. He came back, gathered everything up, and we had one final conversation before he walked away for good. I laid it all out. I'm not getting younger. I'm in my early 30s, and I've always been honest that I'm ready for the next chapter. He'd given his word to me, and even to my father, that he'd propose by the end of the month. Now, all of a sudden, he's telling me probably 2 to 3 weeks. I needed to know what difference a couple of weeks would truly make. He got frustrated, saying I was unfair for thinking he didn't want to marry me, that I must not see how much he loves me. He swore up and down that he loves me more than he loves himself. Then, out of nowhere, he brought up something I'd said years ago, how I mentioned a cousin got a $10,000 engagement ring. He'd assumed, ever since, that's what I expected, that after waiting so long, that's what I deserved, but that ring's price was never the point. I was just sharing how ridiculously over the top it was, not hinting that I wanted something like that. I reminded him, I've never asked for a $10,000 ring. I've always told him I didn't need anything so expensive. He knows I'm not materialistic. That excuse isn't going to work on me. Deep down, what really hurt was that yes, life got hard last year. He lost his job for a month, we moved back in with our parents, and we've been living there ever since, trying to rebuild. The plan was to move out this year. I've been patient. But if he really wanted to plan a proposal by now, he could have. We're still living at home, fewer expenses, the time was there. I was so angry. Before he left for good, I called him a liar. He looked at me, pain in his eyes, and told me that if that's really what I think of him, then it's better for both of us to be done. There was nothing left for him to say. I told him to go. And then he was gone. He hasn't reached out since. It's now been 12 hours. Not a word. I'm pretty sure he's already deleted all my pictures, and I turned off my location, too. So now, here I am. Sitting in this empty silence, trying to figure out what comes next. Losing my mom to cancer last year left a hole that nothing can fill. My dad is getting older, and while I'm not living for my parents, it hurts so much to know my mom will never see me get married, never see me have kids. I gave 6 whole years to this relationship. 6 years of hope, waiting, loving, growing, vanished in a night. I did what I could to take care of myself. Booked an appointment with my old therapist. Haven't seen her in almost a year, but right now, I need help picking up these pieces. Update 3. It's been 5 days since he walked out, and I honestly thought I'd be falling apart by now. But something strange has happened. I feel lighter. Don't get me wrong, there are moments when the grief hits like a truck, especially late at night when I'm used to his goodnight texts. But during the day, I'm starting to remember who I was before I spent 6 years waiting for someone else to decide my future. Yesterday, I did something I haven't done in forever. I went out with my college friends Sarah and Emma. Just dinner and drinks, nothing crazy. But as we were catching up, Sarah mentioned something that made my blood run cold. She said she'd seen my ex at Target 3 days ago. With a woman she didn't recognize. They were in the jewelry section together, and when Sarah tried to get his attention to say hi, he seemed panicked and quickly walked away with this mystery woman. I tried to brush it off. Maybe it was his sister, or a cousin, or just a friend helping him return the bracelet he bought me. But the more I thought about it, the more it didn't sit right. His sister lives in California, and why would he be so weird about Sarah seeing him if it was innocent? So I did something I'm not proud of. I asked my friend Maya to do some Instagram detective work. Maya has always been good at finding people online, and within an hour, she called me back with a name, Jessica. Turns out she works at the marketing firm in the building next to where my ex works. Maya found several photos of company happy hours and events where they're both tagged, going back about 8 months. 8 months. Right around the time he started pulling away from me, right around when he stopped being as affectionate, when our conversations about the future started feeling forced instead of natural. I confronted him via text yesterday evening. Just sent a simple message, "Who's Jessica?" He read it immediately but didn't respond for 3 hours. When he finally did, it was just, "I don't know what you're talking about." But then, this morning, I woke up to a long text from him sent at 2 a.m. "I know you probably hate me right now, and I deserve it. Jessica is someone I work with. We've gotten close over the past few months, but nothing physical has happened. I swear on my mother's life. But I can't lie to you anymore, I have feelings for her. I think I've been too scared to admit that maybe we've both outgrown what we had. I'm sorry I didn't have the courage to tell you this before everything exploded. You deserve so much better than the way I handled this." I've read that message about 50 times now, and each time it hits differently. Part of me wants to scream, part of me wants to laugh at the absurdity, and part of me feels relieved? Because suddenly, everything makes sense. The reluctance to propose wasn't about money or timing or fear of commitment. It was because he was falling for someone else and didn't have the guts to end things with me first. All those conversations about our future, all those promises to my dad, all of it was just him trying to convince himself to want something he didn't actually want anymore. I haven't responded to his text yet. I don't even know what to say. Do I thank him for finally being honest? Do I tell him what I really think of him for stringing me along while developing feelings for another woman? The strangest part is that I'm not as devastated as I thought I'd be. Maybe on some level, I already knew. Maybe that's why I was so adamant about the deadline, why something in my gut kept telling me this wasn't right. My dad came into my room this morning with coffee and just sat with me while I cried, not the desperate, world-ending sobs I expected, but something quieter. Something that felt more like grief for time lost than heartbreak over a future stolen. I have a therapy appointment this afternoon. I'm going to ask her how to move forward from here, how to trust my instincts better next time, how to never again waste 6 years waiting for someone to choose me. But first, I think I need to decide whether to respond to his text at all, or if silence is the better goodbye. Update 4. It's been 2 weeks since his confession, and I thought I had processed everything. I really did. I'd been doing well, therapy sessions were helping, I was reconnecting with friends, even started looking at apartments again. I felt like I was finally moving forward. Then yesterday happened, and now I don't know what to think anymore. I was at Whole Foods, just doing my weekly grocery run, when I literally ran into Jessica. Not figuratively, I actually bumped my cart into hers while turning the corner in the produce section. We both started apologizing at the same time, and then we recognized each other. The awkward silence that followed was suffocating. She's prettier than I expected, petite, with this effortless blonde hair that probably costs more to maintain than my car payment. But what struck me most was how uncomfortable she looked. Not guilty exactly, but nervous? Like she wanted to say something but couldn't find the words. Finally, she cleared her throat and said, "I know who you are. I'm really sorry about everything." I honestly didn't know how to respond. Part of me wanted to walk away, but something about her demeanor made me stay. So I just said, "Yeah, well, it is what it is." That's when she said something that completely blindsided me. "You should know, he talks about you constantly." Like, constantly. It's actually really annoying. I must have looked confused because she quickly continued, "Look, I know how this looks, and I know you probably hate me, but he's not over you. At all. I don't even think he realizes it, but every conversation somehow circles back to you. What you would think about something, how you would react, stories about your relationship. I finally told him last week that if he mentions your name one more time, I'm done." My head was spinning. This wasn't what I expected to hear at all. I asked her point blank if they were together now, and she laughed, but not in a mean way. More like she was frustrated. "We went on exactly 2 dates, she said. Both times, he spent half the evening comparing the restaurant to places you two went, or telling me about some inside joke you had. The second date, he actually got teary-eyed talking about your mom and how much you meant to each other. I realized I was basically just a therapist he was trying to sleep with. I didn't know what to say to that." Jessica shifted uncomfortably and then said, "He told me you gave him an ultimatum about proposing. Can I ask you something? Did you really mean it when you said you were done?" The question caught me off guard. I told her yes, of course I meant it. But then she said something that's been haunting me since, because he bought the ring 3 months ago. I saw the receipt when he was showing me something on his phone. It fell out of his banking app. When I asked about it, he got weird and changed the subject, but the date was clear, May 15th, 2 weeks after he promised your dad he'd propose by the end of August. I felt like the wind had been knocked out of me. May 15th. That was right after we had that big conversation about moving out of our parents' houses and starting fresh. Right after he told me he was excited about our future. If he bought the ring in May, why didn't he propose in August like he promised? Jessica must have seen the confusion on my face because she sighed and said, "Look, I don't know what happened between you two, and honestly, I don't want to get involved. But that man is a mess. Whatever you think he did wrong, I promise you it's eating him alive. He's been staying late at work every day, not because he has to, but because he doesn't want to go home to his empty apartment. Yeah, he moved out of his parents' place 2 days after your breakup. Signed a lease the same day." My mind was reeling. He moved out? Got his own place? And he bought the ring months ago? None of this made sense with the story I'd been telling myself about why he didn't propose. Jessica started to walk away, but then turned back. "For what it's worth, I don't think he developed feelings for me because he fell out of love with you. I think he got close to me because he was terrified of how much he loves you. Some people run toward the thing they want most, and others run away from it. He's definitely a runner." She left me standing there in the produce section, holding a bag of overpriced organic apples, feeling like everything I thought I knew had just been turned upside down. I haven't told anyone about this conversation yet, not my therapist, not my friends, not my dad. I keep replaying it in my head, trying to figure out what it all means. If he bought the ring in May, what stopped him from proposing? Was it really about the money like he claimed, or was it something deeper? And why is he living alone now when he spent 6 years telling me he wasn't ready for that step? The worst part is that I can feel something shifting inside me. For the past 2 weeks, I've been so sure that I dodged a bullet, that I was better off without someone who couldn't commit. But now I'm wondering if I gave up on someone who was just scared, someone who loved me so much it paralyzed him. I still have his number blocked, and he hasn't tried to reach out through anyone else. Maybe Jessica was wrong about everything. Maybe he really has moved on and she was just trying to stir up drama for her own reasons. But something about the way she looked when she was talking about him. She wasn't lying. I could tell. I have another therapy appointment tomorrow. I guess I'll start there. Update 5. My therapy session yesterday completely derailed everything I thought I'd figured out. Dr. Martinez listened to everything about my conversation with Jessica, and when I finished, she asked me one simple question that I can't stop thinking about. If he had the ring for 3 months and was too scared to propose, what do you think changed between May and August that made him pull away? I sat there for the longest time, just staring at her bookshelf, trying to piece it together. And then it hit me like a freight train. May 15th wasn't just 2 weeks after our conversation about the future, it was exactly 1 week after the anniversary of my mom's death. Every year since she passed, that week in early May is brutal for me. I always get withdrawn, emotional, sometimes barely functional. Last year was especially hard because it was the first anniversary, and I remember telling him how desperately I wished my mom could be there to see me get married someday, to meet her grandchildren. I was sobbing in his arms, telling him how unfair it was that she'd never see those moments. What if buying that ring wasn't about our timeline at all? What if he bought it because seeing me grieve made him realize he wanted to give me that piece of my mom's dream? But then, what if watching me fall apart that week also terrified him about taking such a huge step? Dr. Martinez suggested something that made my stomach drop. Sometimes when people are faced with someone else's profound grief, they start confronting their own fears about loss and commitment. It's possible he bought the ring in a moment of love and clarity, but then spent the next 3 months getting scared about what marriage really means. I left therapy feeling more confused than when I went in. Instead of heading home, I found myself driving to the cemetery where my mom is buried. I haven't been there since her birthday in March, but something was pulling me there. I was sitting by her headstone, telling her about the whole mess, when I heard footsteps on the gravel path behind me. I turned around, and my heart stopped. It was him. He looked terrible. Like he hadn't been sleeping or eating properly. His hair was longer than I'd ever seen it, and he had this defeated posture that made him look smaller somehow. "Your dad told me you might be here," he said quietly, staying several feet away. "I didn't come to bother you. I needed to talk to her." I was so shocked I couldn't even speak. He walked over to a spot a few feet from where I was sitting and knelt down by Mom's grave. "Hi, Mrs. Chen," he said, and his voice cracked immediately. "I know I probably don't have the right to be here anymore, but I needed to tell you I'm sorry. I promised I'd take care of your daughter, and I failed. I promised her dad I'd propose, and I couldn't follow through. I bought the ring right after you died because I wanted so badly to give her something you'd be proud of, but then I got so scared of messing it up, of not being enough for her, that I ruined everything anyway." I felt tears streaming down my face. He was talking to my mom's grave like she was actually there, like she could hear him apologizing. "She deserves someone braver than me," he continued. "Someone who doesn't run away when things get real. I know you probably hate me now, but I needed you to know that losing her is the biggest mistake I've ever made." He stood up, wiped his eyes, and started to walk away without even acknowledging I was there. But then I found my voice. "She wouldn't hate you," I called out. "She'd be disappointed, but she wouldn't hate you." He stopped walking but didn't turn around. I stood up, my legs shaky. "She always said you were good for me," I continued. "Even when we had problems, even when I complained about you to her, she'd defend you. She'd say you loved me in a way that scared you, and that someday you'd figure out how to be brave enough for that love." Finally, he turned around. His eyes were red and swollen, and seeing him like that broke something open in my chest. I bought the ring the week after she died because I realized I wanted to marry you more than I'd ever wanted anything, he said. But then I kept thinking about what if I lose you too? What if I'm not strong enough to be the husband you need? What if I can't protect you from the world the way she wanted me to? So you protected me from yourself instead? I asked. He nodded, looking ashamed. And then when you set that deadline, it felt like proof that I was right to be scared. Like you were going to leave me anyway, so why put us both through a marriage that might not work? We stood there in silence for what felt like hours. Finally, I asked the question that had been burning in me since talking to Jessica. Do you still have the ring? He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small black velvet box. My heart started racing. I carry it everywhere, he admitted. I keep thinking maybe if I have it with me, I'll finally find the courage to do what I should have done months ago. I took a step closer. Can I see it? With shaking hands, he opened the box. Inside was the most perfect ring I'd ever seen, simple, elegant, exactly what I would have chosen for myself. Not expensive or flashy, just right. It's beautiful, I whispered. It's nothing fancy, he said quickly. I know you said you didn't need something expensive, but I kept second-guessing myself. What if it wasn't enough? What if, it's perfect, I interrupted. We looked at each other for a long moment. Then he did something that surprised me. He closed the box and put it back in his pocket. I'm not going to propose to you right now, he said. Not here, not like this. If there's any chance you might forgive me, if there's any possibility we could try again, I want to earn that. I want to prove I'm not the same scared guy who let the best thing in his life walk away. I nodded, not trusting my voice. But I need you to know, he continued, walking away from you was the worst decision I've ever made. And if you give me another chance, I promise I'll spend every day proving I'm worthy of the love you gave me. He turned to leave, then looked back one more time. I got my own apartment, he said. 1247 Oak Street, Unit 3B. If you ever want to talk, really talk, that's where I'll be. Then he was gone, leaving me standing there with my mom's grave, holding a tissue box I didn't remember bringing, wondering if some mistakes can actually be forgiven. I haven't decided anything yet. But for the first time in weeks, I'm not sure I want to.